you talked a little bit about it earlier, but when you're talking about like application rates and different options like that, how many different options are there, and how does it compare with other fertilizers, man-made fertilizers?
Yeah, so we're really early on this as far as application rates and things. We really like the concept of the combination, and we really like the philosophy. Once again, this is a Agri-Best Feeds philosophy. Same thing on the Sweet Pro and Redmond on livestock. Basically taking whatever situation you have and being able to get a little bit more value out of it. Okay, so maximizing your genetic potential, maximizing the feed sources that you have. Very similar on the soil. We're not as concerned about what type of soil you have, and I mean, all of those things are important, and getting an agronomist involved and kind of working with that. But we're also looking at the simple concept, and then being able to take, does it make sense to add a variety and diversity of nutrients in these forms to a crop, and we're not putting so much on that it has negative effects on. So you're looking probably in that 100 to 200 pounds per acre if you're doing a dry spread. If you've got some air seeders and things, and you're able to do more precision farming, you may be able to get that down a little bit more into that 50 pounds per acre, something like that. Yeah. But in general, that's kind of our thoughts, is that we're coming along to help support what's already there. And so in that regard, we have the sea mineral by itself and the volcanic ash by itself, but where that 1-2 punch comes together is by blending those two together. So when we're the products that we would have is called the SR products, so SR 65, SR 50, and that's just the percentage of volcanic ash to the percentage of sea mineral. So SR 65 is 2 parts volcanic ash and 1 part of the sea mineral. Okay. And so that would be an application on a more sandier soil. So pick up a little bit more of the volcanic ash. It's more of a clay base, and so that we kind of just in thought process apply that. If you're on a more heavier soil, maybe going a 50-50 blend, so SR 50 would be a great application on that.
Sure.
And then we've got different sizes. So your SR 65 or 50, that is fine. We use that a lot in your feedlot situations, or even we use this a lot on even out like a SR 50 in just free choice for cattle, and so that's excellent for them. But it blows pretty hard and it's hard to spread and whatnot. So Redmond came up with a coarse product, and this is just different size screened volcanic ash, and it spreads very well with through a dry spreader, and so that's kind of our recommended product on that. And then that's both of those products are the same cost. You're looking in that somewhere in the $350 to $400 per ton, and depending on quantities and where you're located and freight and all that kind of stuff, but somewhere in there. So you're looking, if you're at 200 pounds per acre, you're looking about $40 per acre for application. At 100, it'd be half that, so somewhere in that $20 to $40 per acre. And then if you get into any air application, air seeders, air spreaders, if you're wanting to mix it with other fertilizers, Redmond's come up with a screen product that is a more consistent product size, granular size, so that just runs better through those meters, and it's able to blend better with commercial fertilizers and things. And so that's going to cost you about $30 more per ton, so you're adding another, 200 pounds per acre, maybe another $3 an acre, or at $100 an acre, $1.50.
Right.
But a little easier to handle, and so that's kind of how we go on that. So recommend.
Well, looking at the size of these, though, it's not like it goes in and it leaches immediately. It looks to me like, just logically thinking, over time, it's a time release type deal.
A little bit, but you'd be surprised on how one of the things on the volcanic ash is it absorbs and draws in. It has a drawing effect, so that's one of the great things on the livestock side. It draws toxins, it pulls in moisture, and kind of encapsulates that, or holds on to that. And so it's pretty interesting how quickly that it'll end up being able to be utilized. Mm-hmm. So a lot of applications. I mean, we've got applications from your forages to your hays, and then even on some of your row crops and things. And that depending on how much irrigation the guy's doing, or if it's just dry land, that would depend on how long that ends up staying in the system. The volcanic ash will probably last a little bit longer, but the sea mineral, that just kind of will end up building soil health. But it's probably something we'd recommend, every year,
Sure.
kind of application. If you can spoon feed it, you got application cost and things like that you've got to consider. Mm-hmm. But a couple applications, if you're on alfalfa, going out right at green up or right before green up, and then maybe after first cutting go out again, might be a possibility. Another possibility I want to just mention is utilizing the sea mineral for foliar application, whether through your sprayers or if you inject it through your pivots, through fertigation or something. That sea mineral, we don't recommend the clay on that, the volcanic ash, because that'll will fall out of suspension and gum up things, and you'll have a mess, so we don't want to get into that.
Right.
But the sea minerals, they'll go into solution and be able to, if you're putting chemical or herbicide down or anything, you can actually reduce some of that, because this is actually going to help those plants, whether it's your weeds or your crop, be able to open those pores up a little bit more and get all the plethora of nutrients in there. And so that's something we recommend anytime you're going over. If you're on a sprayer, if you can put 3 to 5 pounds per acre down, so just a very small amount.
Right.
Or if you're going through irrigation, 3 to 5 pounds, maybe 4 times through the growing season, really helps support, and that Brix level, that nutritional density in the plant, really helps support that.
Okay. I'm headed down there next week, and I'm really anxious to learn more about it. But if I wanted to go today and learn more about it, is there any place I can get on your guys' website or something? Yeah,
I recommend our Agri-Best there's a soil tab, so there's a lot of good information on that. There's a great little alfalfa video that just shows, and that was a couple of years ago. The local farmer out here over in Laurel had, and it basically ended up being a trial, and I'll let you watch that video to kind of get more information, but basically ended up being almost a dry land and flood irrigated trial, just the way he ended up getting set up that year.
Sure.
But very interesting, the responses, and especially with your alfalfa, your different hay crops, the value, both on the nutrition value, raising that, but also on some quantity, so quality and quantity, that it's helping to support. And as you know, I suppose most people know, hay prices. There's some value to start to look at how do we maximize our the use of our products that we have.
Right. Yeah, especially with trucking costs right now, you're better off to raise it right on your own place and have it there than to have to bring it in. But they can also call down here to the office.
Yeah, so that's just our 866-601-6646, and that's on the website as well, or just Google Agri-Best Feeds and I'm sure it pops up there or something. I don't know how
it does.
Everything. Okay, so I don't know how that works, but yeah, feel free to call and visit with us and yeah, we're looking. A lot of guys are just doing some different trials on their own farms and taking a pivot or a hay field and I'm going to do this on half of it, not just jumping in full steam. But a lot of it just comes back to the philosophy of what's the reasoning behind it, taking and using the diversity of the nutrients come in and helping you get a little bit better out of what you already have there, building that soil health. And you got some short-term benefits, but definitely, as all farmers and ranchers, it's about the long term, how we can bring that soil back to maximize its production in different areas.
Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to explain this to me. It interests me as far as the all-natural aspect of it and not clogging of the soils and making weeds and pests immune to the things we're putting on them. This kind of puts a whole new level to what we're doing, and I think it's more where the future's going. And so I really appreciate you taking the time to explain more to me about it, and I'm looking forward to going down there next week and gaining some more knowledge, because I do think it's a thing of the future.
Sounds great. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us for this 4-part series on Redmond for Soils, putting new life in old soils. For more information on Redmond or any other Agri-Best products, visit us at agribestfeeds.com or call us at 866-601-6646. Agri-Best Feeds, enhancing farmer and ranchers' lives.